This is the Principles of Management, and the topic is Managing Quality and Performance. Key function of management is control. To know what is going on within the organization, to keep track of it, to review it on an ongoing basis, and to understand what is working well and what can be done more effectively and more efficiently. Organizational control is the systematic process through which managers monitor and regulate activities in order to meet planned goals and standards of performance. The first step in this is to decide what to measure and the standards of performance that are associated with those measurements. In order to do this, it is perhaps best to start from the customer perspective. What is it that your customers view as the critical product and service features of the organization? After this, a second tier of metrics can be established representing the things that have to happen in order for that customer need to be satisfied. For example, suppose that a customer standard was to reply to a service request within 24 hours, which sets a service metric, the percentage of service requests that had responses within that time frame. The second tier of metrics could involve staffing, call volume, characteristics monitoring, customer satisfaction measures by location or individual service representative, and or whatever other metrics may apply. The second step is to establish standards of performance. What percent of the time should a person expect to have electricity or telephone service, or for a vote to be counted correctly? Third, performance should be measured and compared to standards. Fourth, the results should be analyzed. Is the difficulty with an individual, a department, or is there something systemically wrong? Can new processes improve the performance? The object of the measurement is to keep things running well, but also to be able to understand why they are not running well when that happens, and to learn from the misstep. One of the ways of measuring overall performance is to use an analytical tool called a balanced scorecard, a systematic approach to measure performance from several perspectives: financial, customer, process, learning, and growth. The second set of metrics that will be applied to an organization are financial controls. This is a topic that will be covered in depth in a finance course, but briefly, a budget is a tool that sets expectations for revenues and expenses, for cash flows and capital expenditures. When actual expenses or revenues do not match what was planned, the variance needs to be explained. Financial statements also convey much information about the performance of a business and are perhaps best interpreted by financial ratios. These ratios make the performance of the organization comparable to other organizations in the same industry, and can at times reveal whether performance of the organization is in line with, better, or worse than other comparable firms. Often, a company will establish a peer group for comparative purposes. Like many other aspects of management, the common wisdom of how control should happen within an organization is shifting from a hierarchical and centralized view to a more decentralized one. The hierarchical view stresses rules, policies, reward systems, and formal reporting and monitoring. The decentralized control model is more focused on having employees motivated to perform in a certain way. It is based on their voluntary commitment, not so much to standards as to a purpose. A number of techniques, less founded in theory than empirically derived, have gained press and popularity in recent years. Total quality management is an effort to put focus on quality in every aspect of the primary and secondary activities of the firm. It is based in part on the expectation that error-free products and services are less costly than products that are generally reliable. There are fewer service, return, and repair calls, and they have additional benefit of producing happier customers, which translates to higher repurchase rates. Several of the techniques involved in total quality management include creating a quality circle, which is a subset of employees who meet regularly to discuss quality issues and come up with creative solutions for improving things. Benchmarking is measuring one's own organization against competitors to understand when and why another firm's products might be outperforming one's own. A Six Sigma system is a term that derives from the statistical measurement and refers to the percentage of time a product or service may be expected to fail. This is something that is appropriate for products that are differentiated in some way or that appeal to a niche market, but less so to things that are manufactured for low-cost solutions. Quality partnering is similar to setting up a quality circle, but it involves designating specific personnel within a functional area of a business to focus on the topic. Finally, continual quality improvement, also called Kaizen, is the conception, design, and implementation of a stream of incremental improvements in the way something is done. On a final note, standards for management practices, for employee relations, and for corporate governance have begun to take on an international dimension. The International Organization for Standardization, based in Geneva, Switzerland, has developed a series of standards, termed ISOs, that suggest metrics by which companies can measure their competency. These have taken hold in Europe and have spread to international organizations based in the US. A firm that meets standards set by the ISO can also be said to be ISO compliant. Some international trade is limited only to those businesses that meet these standards. The ISO 9001 standards are intended to make certain that no one uses a bad product, to have a system to handling bad products, including finding the root cause of the problem, and to keep records that can be used to help improve the process used to create the product. And this concludes the audio file.